More than 40 million people under some kind of weather alert right now as Winter Storm Ember continues to push into the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast today. Good Saturday morning. Welcome into America's weekend headquarters. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass.
Put on your seatbelts, folks. It's going to get wild. I'm meteorologist Reynolds Wolf, and we've got dangerous ice, rain, wind, snow. All these are threats from this storm. And I'll tell you what, it's not the only one out there. Right behind Ember, Winter Storm Finn is already ramping up in the west. Expected to have major impacts to the plains, the Midwest, and even the Northeast by the start of the new work week.
And it's not just snow or rain. Unfortunately, we got that in-between stuff. The accumulating ice in the mid-Atlantic could cause dangerous driving conditions. Meteorologist Felicia Combs right there off of Interstate 81. Good morning, Felicia.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, Reynolds. Yeah, as the sun is coming up, I will say you can definitely see that the roads are slick, but there are a lot of people out on these roads. I was like, what is everyone doing this early on a Saturday? But I guess if you do have to go into work, maybe you're going somewhere for the weekend. But I will just tell you, if you have the option of staying home, that is your best bet. That's what VDOT, Virginia DOT is telling people as well, because it is going to be slick out there in some places. Now, we're in Staunton, which is in the Shenandoah Valley. We've got the in between the Blue Ridge and the Alleghenies, so we're in the valley area here. And also Staunton is kind of the intersection of I-64 and I-81. And speaking of I-81, you can see that just behind me here. So we've been keeping an eye on the traffic back there. So that's off in the distance that you're looking at I-81. That will take you to I-64 as well. And what I want to see, I don't know if you could see this or not, but the overpass of I-81, those are the areas that you're going to be even more concerned about as the precipitation moves through. Some places the temperature's hanging right around maybe 33 or just at 32. And it's those bridges and overpasses that freeze more quickly. They freeze faster. They freeze sooner than the rest of the roadways because, they don't have the insulation of the ground. So those bridges and overpasses are going to be some of the most dangerous spots that you're dealing with. Now, right now, we've got a break in the precipitation, so we will take that, but that's not going to be the story throughout the rest of the morning. We're under a winter weather advisory here in the Staunton area for most of the Shenandoah Valley, and a winter storm warning, actually, and then a winter weather advisory outside of this area. We're under the winter storm warning here because we're expecting ice to be a problem. Now, we're not going to get a ton of snow out of this, but when you're talking about freezing rain and a little bit of sleet that's going to pick up later this morning and through the early afternoon, that is going to make those roadways slick. So in terms of the amounts of ice that we're talking about here, maybe up to about 1/4 of an inch. So that's not going to be the type of ice that's crippling, but it's the type of ice that's going to put a glaze. It might lull you into complacency and make you think you can get on the roadways. So ice accumulation in terms of what you're expecting, say a glaze, a trace to 1/4 of an inch, that is going to cause that hazardous travel, and that's the main thing we're worried about. Now, we have seen crews out this morning, and Virginia DOT was saying that they did pre-treat the roads on Friday, and of course they're going to be out, especially on those main highways like I-64, I-81, and any of the main roads here. So they're going to be treating, so hopefully that will help with that. But I think once this precipitation starts to pick back up again, because right now we're in a dry slot, you're going to see those roads getting slicker, so you want to stay home in this region. Now, if you're looking for the snow, you got to go a little bit farther north than that, region-wide. We are going to see some pretty nice snowfall totals, just not here in Staunton, Reynolds. People were asking me yesterday as I was going out to get some waters and stuff to prepare for the storm, oh, are we going to get some snow? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're getting the ice here. I hate to be the bearer of bad news because no one wants the ice.
Hey, you bring up a good point. I was going to ask you this, and if you give an answer, that's great. If not, my apologies. When you went out yesterday and you went to different businesses, do you know if they are adjusting hours, or are they going to scale back, or is it just kind of a wait-and-see situation?
No, it didn't seem like that. I did go to one of the grocery stores, and it was packed, and it seemed like a lot of people were getting water and taking it really seriously. You know, anytime you hear ice, you're not sure what you're going to be dealing with or how long you might be stuck inside. The good news is that these temperatures are going to warm up quickly here, so I don't think it's even going to ruin our entire weekend here, Reynolds. I think by late Saturday into Sunday, especially Sunday, it'll be much better across this region.
Quick hitter. That's how it happens. All right, Felicia, great reporting as always. We'll chat with you in a little bit. Thank you so much. All right, let's get you to speed. Here's what we know about Winter Storm Ember at this time. New York's governor is encouraging residents to prepare for parts of the state to be impacted with heavy snow late tonight and also into Sunday. Now, Pennsylvania's Department of Transportation is implementing speed and vehicle restrictions for much of the state today, but also for tomorrow, urging people to stay at home if that is possible. By the way, Amtrak It's modified its service for the next 4 days from the northeast to the west coast. Big territory for these two big storms, both Winter Storm Ember and then for Winter Storm Fen, affecting all modes of travel. All right, I believe we're going to send it on over to Kelly.
Yeah, not much of a break between these storms, is there? You get to take a breath and then you're getting ready for the next storm. So cities across the Northeast are preparing for the snow and ice from Ember, of course. In Pennsylvania, the DOT urging people to stay at home to avoid dangerous travel conditions and also make it easier for the crews to get out there, spray the brine and plow the roads. As many as 2,200 trucks have been deployed across the state to make roads safe.
Don't crowd the plow. We tell everybody stay 6 car lengths back from the plow. Why is that? Well, they've got huge blind spots, much like a tractor trailer. And then you add an 8 to 10 foot wing plow on the side of it, and they're trying to pay attention to the computers, to what's going on the road, what's going on ahead of them, and you try and pass them, especially on the side where the wing plow is, and you hit that could be deadly to somebody. And you know, they've knocked our plows off. We've had tractor trailers hit our plows on the wing plow and actually knock them off the road.
And not only that, the plows, even the trucks, are a lot heavier than the four-wheelers, and they can't stop as quickly or as easily as a four-wheeler can. So please give them lots of room, lots of distance, and maybe stay off the road if you can, especially when the weather gets pretty bad. For now, it's okay, but we're waiting for the storm to arrive in Albany, down towards Hartford, Boston, also in a winter storm warning. That's the darker blue that extends right on down towards Happy Valley, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. A tricky forecast for the 95 corridor, New York City, Philly. Still waiting on that significant snow that we haven't seen in a couple of years now. But as you can see, it's a pretty sharp cutoff because of the threat for rain mixed in with the snow. It's going to be inland areas where we do pretty well. The lighter purple indicating 5 to 8, but we do see a few spots that perhaps get up to a foot of snow. We're talking about the Poconos, the Catskills, the Helderbergs, into the Berkshires, and yes, even the Connecticut River Valley, 8 to 12 inches. Hartford, Boston, maybe not so much the Cape though, because that's where you have more of that rain mixing in. So here's that leading edge of the snow coming in from the southwest side of Pennsylvania, moving northward throughout the day, and then eventually covering us all up in the blue. That's the snow that's going to be increasing as we move along the Pennsylvania Turnpike, the Jersey Shore. It's all rain, a cold rain, but still rain. New York City, we got the rain, perhaps mixed at times with some snowflakes. But north and west of New York City, I mean around Westchester, we could get some snow. Sussex and New Jersey, Hartford, you've got the snow to play with as well. It's a good thing it's coming on a weekend, by the way, where the kids can maybe get out there and play in the snow. You don't have to worry about taking off from school. But here is a look at the wind aspect too, really quick. I just want to show you Cape Cod. It is going to be blustery. We've got those wind advisories going into effect with those winds at times gusting around 50 miles an hour. Reynolds?
All right, Kelly, well, Winter Storm Ember making travel dangerous as it sets to slam up much of the East Coast with, well, you got snow, you got wind, but even ice. Then ice threat is already revving in the mid-Atlantic, where winter storm warnings are in effect for places like Staunton, Virginia. And that's where we find meteorologist Felicia Combs absolutely rocking the new Carhartt gear. It looks fantastic. Looks like you might not need it early, but later on, Felicia, I think we're going to see a variety of things. Rain, sleet, snow across the region, but for you, ice could be a real issue.
Yeah, you know, Reynolds, and of course, when we're talking about the ice, it's mainly going to be freezing rain here, which of course falls as rain and then it freezes on the surface, hence freezing rain. So definitely want to make sure you're bundling up and you've got the hood and you've got everything if you're heading out. But my advice would be don't head out, because you might be able to drive in the snow and that's fantastic, but no one can drive in the ice. Now, we've got a mixed bag of precipitation across the region right now. I'd say for us, we're getting a little bit of a break, just starting to feel a little bit of that precipitation right now here in Staunton, but you can see some of the heavier freezing rain coming down just a little bit south of this. For a place like Roanoke, you're going to have that mixed bag again. You're going to have the rain, you're going to have the freezing rain, and then you have to go a little bit farther north to get some of that snow early on. And then wintry mix. Roanoke, this is not going to be a big snowmaker for you. You'll get some snow moving through before all is said and done, and then it eventually clears out by the later part of today. But certainly not going to see any big snowfall totals there in Roanoke from this winter storm. DC, you're part of the 95 crowd that is also not getting any big snowfall totals out of this. You're going to have to go west of 95 to get those snow totals. It's quiet in DC right now, setting at 35, but you'll notice as we head through the second portion of your morning, throughout our Saturday, we're going to have a mix. You head farther to the south and east, you've got more rain. Farther to the north and west, you're going to get into that wintry weather. So a place like DC not getting the snow out of this. Again, you'll see those higher totals north and west. But Philly, a little bit closer to you, you'll at least maybe get some measurable snow out of this. But again, it's really going to be north and west up around Easton or Reading, where you're seeing a better chance for some snow to add up 4, 5, maybe 6 inches there. It's as we head through the afternoon there in Philly, that rain snow line. Again, you can see that rain lifting north of Philly, so you're really stuck in the rain for much of that time. NYC, same thing for you, Kelly. It's like that 95 corridor just cannot get the snow. New York City, you're going to have to go to, like, say, Patterson or Yonkers to see any of that snow adding up. In the city there on Long Island, Manhattan, not getting really measurable snow according to this current forecast.
Yeah, this storm's just teasing us, Felicia. Like, it might snow, it might not. All week long, we've been watching it since it was on the West Coast, and we knew it was going to be a tricky forecast. And where you are, of course, the ice, that's like the absolute worst, right? Stay safe, stay warm. You look great out there. Let's talk more about the other aspect of this storm system, and that is where we have the chance for severe weather, Reynolds.
I know. If you're just tuning in, I know we're throwing all kinds of information to you, but this is the severe component. Much of Florida Peninsula is going to deal with that severe component today. Soggy morning for all of you here in Cape Coral. But we've got a chance of those thunderstorms, gusty winds. They are going to be the primary threats. However, we cannot rule out the risk of a possible tornado. Certainly waterspouts could be in the mix too. All right, so let's get to it. All right, this is what we can expect. We have at this time, let's see, your areas where you have the potential, you certainly have a possibility. And if you've been watching all morning long, you'll notice that our maps are updated. Tip the cap to Veronica Dolan, our amazing producer. We're always staying on top of it. These maps always evolve. As we have more information, we pass it on to you. Now, in terms of a Torcon, they now range from a 2 to a 3. Hear me very carefully. There have been many mornings where Kelly and I have been working together where you have a 2 or 3 with the Torcon, and we still have had a lot of damage and a lot of loss of life. You've got to take these very seriously, have a plan of where to go, what to do if severe weather comes calling. So this is the branch of it that looks like it may be a real slugfest once it comes on shore. Back half of the system, Apalachicola, Jacksonville, Cedar Key, you're already in the clear, but if you were in Fort Myers and Vero Beach, this is what is on the way. And sure enough, it is going to sweep its way through the tail end of it, affecting Fort Myers by the early afternoon. Some of this cable producing even some hail, the heavy rainfall. Eventually, it goes south of Lake Okeechobee and eventually moves into the Florida Keys by the time you get into the early morning hours. So a lot to follow from Belglade to Homestead and everything in between, including this major thoroughfare on 75. We call it Alligator Alley. Tail end of this moving right on through West Palm Beach to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Hollywood getting in on the game too. A lot of rain going from west to east across much of the Sunshine State. Wrapping it up here from Tampa to St. Petersburg to Sarasota. Heavy rain on the way, but a much better looking afternoon. Kelly, let's send it back to you.
All right, Reynolds, then there's the next storm, right? The one that's just getting ready to move across the country. It begins in the west. This is Winter Storm Finn, and already preparations are being made out ahead of a heavy snow, not just in the higher elevations, but lower elevations as well. State authorities say this is going to be an all-hands-on-deck effort to clear the roads. Much of Friday was spent loading up trucks with sand and brine and getting their snowplows ready to go. Crews will be pre-positioned throughout the I-80 corridor right through the Sierra Mountains so they can respond efficiently and effectively, and hopefully everybody gets to their destinations safely. But I tell you what, we're lacking in the snowpack so far this year.
We are indeed.
We really need it. We need it.
And we can expect the system to make its way on through to provide some of that snowfall. Again, it's moving in from the Pacific Northwest later on today, bringing a variety of things to the West Coast.
And it's not just the West. It will intensify as it makes its way lee of the Rockies into the plains. It's going to be a lot of wind, and whether you're on the rainy side or the snowy side, we're going to have a lot of travel impacts.
Absolutely. So tomorrow we've got these just migrating one after another across America. This eventually will launch its way into the plains where we have a variety of things to deal with: the precipitation, the wind, possibly blizzard conditions.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Right now it's a watch for portions of the plains, but even in the watches, you know, the wording from the Weather Service is saying there could be blizzard conditions with this thing. I mean, look how wound up it is. Lines of equal pressure packed together. That is a very wound up windy system.
You've got a lot of people across the southern and snow plains that have to work outside. They're going to be dealing with this. Imagine that kind of a work day. Here's what we're working with. According to the Euro and the American model, shows the possibility of very heavy snowfall.
Too soon for the numbers. We're dealing with the storm right now, right? And then eventually we'll get this one moving across by the middle of the week. And the wind aspect, yes, it is going to be a very gusty system, and even the potential for strong thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast.
Most definitely. And then the tail end of that energy by Wednesday goes up towards the Canadian Maritimes, but for parts of the Gulf Coast, severe storms.
There you go. Got the red on the map. nap even into Tuesday. We will have live coverage of Winter Storm Ember as well as Finn all weekend. We have teams of meteorologists spread out to bring you every angle of these storms like no one else can.
That's right. Let's give you to West Virginia. Burnsville? Yeah, I think so. Can we get there? Maybe?
Well, we got you.
There it is. Yes.
Not snowing yet, but definitely watch out for ice mixed with snow.
Welcome back into the Weather Channel's continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. I'm meteorologist Felicia Combs here in Staunton, Virginia, where right now we're getting light precipitation, but that is going to change as we head through the later morning hours. Kind of a mixed bag of what's going on across this region, whether you're getting the snow, the freezing rain, the sleet, just regular cold rain, or maybe you're getting a little bit of a break. Now, what I want to talk to you about is exactly where we are. So Staunton is located in the Shenandoah Valley. You can kind of see the geography or the topography behind me here. It's a mountainous region. Now, obviously, Shenandoah Valley, that means we're in a valley. The Shenandoah Valley is about 140 miles long in the western portions of Virginia. Here in the valley, and it's the mountains where you're really going to see a better chance for some of that snow. Here in a place like Staunton, what we're mainly concerned with is going to be the travel and that potential for ice. Now, major highways, major roadways have been being treated. We've seen plows and salt trucks out, and I want to show you what the roads look like, because there are, some people out and about. This is one of the main streets moving here through Staunton, but if you look off in the distance, you can see that on-ramp going to I-64 and I-81. Staunton is kind of where I-64 and I-81 converge, so some of the major highways here, and these are mountainous highways. These aren't just flat highways. They're going up through the mountains, so they're going to be slick. And of course, you've got your bridges and your overpasses as well. Now, we're sitting at 32 degrees here in Staunton, so we're already at freezing, but it's those bridges and those overpasses that you also have to really watch too. They can freeze a little bit quicker than, say, your regular roads. They don't have that insulation of the ground underneath them. So as you can see right now, seems like traffic is moving fine. I'd say that most of the roadways that we're looking at from our vantage point are your major roadways that were pre-treated by Virginia DOT yesterday. They've been out treating since before the precipitation started, and they'll be out through the duration of the storm as well. But the advice is that you shouldn't be out. It makes that job so much harder. Now, I know we're not expecting snow here, so we're not expecting, major snow plowing going on, but still, for anyone out there putting the salt down, any of the the people trying to treat the roads, it makes it that much harder when there are a lot of people on the roadways, guys. And then, of course, in the mountainous regions, those conditions can change really quickly between rain and freezing rain and snow, so you don't know what you might be driving into.
Good point.
Absolutely. Man. Well, raw conditions on the way there, raw conditions across much of America. The winter wallop, Kelly, for January is not over with Ember. Hot on its heels, or cold on its heels, as it were. You've got Winter Storm Finn. Finn arrives today on the West Coast, which means more days of rain and snow and wind and all that comes with it, Kelly.
Yeah, Finn is going to be making that cross-country trip, starting on the West Coast, making its way all the way across, so that by next weekend we'll be doing another one on the East Coast. But yes, this one has a lot more wind energy with it. Unfortunately, there will be the threat for some blizzard conditions right in the heart of the Midwest.
Yeah, that video out of Terre Haute, Indiana. What a great shot.
Mesmerizing.
There's something just aesthetically beautiful about seeing falling snow. The problem is the other things that come with it, the nightmare in travel, the wind that we're going to have with these storms, a lot to follow.
So there's the first one. We've got it going on right now along the East Coast. The next one is just making its way into the West Coast. So we've got rain for San Francisco Bay, snow coming for the Four Corners region, and then coming out into the plains. And note the winds are already increasing as we head towards Monday. Yeah,
this is going to be a beast. It's going to bring a bit of everything. Spring-like storms along the Gulf Coast. You've got real winter to the top half of it, a lot of wave action, wind, especially off parts of the Great Lakes, and blizzard conditions for the plains possible.
If you are flying in and out of Chicago, say Tuesday, there will be de-icing delays both at Midway and O'Hare, snow removal even, all the way back down toward the I-70 corridor in the Show Me State of Missouri. But look at all the rain as far north as Buffalo and Detroit and New York City. So there will be a warm up going on ahead of this next system.
Yeah, Luke says we often say like a thumbprint. We're going to go thumbs down on this forecast unless you like the snow. We got plenty of it. So here's what we know with this storm is going to move in from the Pacific and into the Northwest today.
Yes, and it is going to intensify as it heads through the plains and then eventually bring that snow for the Midwest as we head towards early to middle next week. So this is Finn making its appearance felt on the West Coast through the southern plains. All the while, you're going to have that moisture coming in from the Gulf, and that's going to feed in on the rainy side, the severe side. But where you have the cold air, that's where the snow is going sideways.
Keep in mind, you're going to want to keep it here at the Weather Channel because this is a forecast, meaning that things could change. This could be a little bit weaker, but it could also be stronger. It is certainly something to follow, but it's going to be affecting every single one of the lower 48 states in some form or fashion.
Traveling up towards Michigan as we head towards Tuesday, you can see the wind with the snow piling up according to the European model. Wherever you see the purple, that's where they're saying, I think there's going to be a lot of snow here. And even the American model, a similar setup.
Wow, all across America. Wow.
And from coast to coast and everywhere in between, you can download the TWC streaming app. Here you can find updated alerts for the storms as the forecast change.
Go to streamtwc.com to get it for Roku, Amazon Fire, and Google TV. Okay, it's a little weird. Emergency in the sky. Shocking photos of a gaping hole on the side of a Boeing 737. Boeing 737 loaded with passengers. This after a window blew out in midair, Kelly. The Alaska Airlines flight that was headed to Ontario, California was forced to make an emergency landing back in Oregon. This happened on Friday evening. And investigators, federal authorities, they're still taking a look at this, trying to figure out how all this happened.
Thank goodness everyone's okay.
Seriously.
That's the important thing, right? And now you guys have a story to tell, right? Man. Can you imagine when they touch back down again, they called all their friends and relatives. Guess what happened to my plane?
Yeah, you're not
so
gonna
crazy.
Oof.
Well, welcome back into America's Weekend Headquarters. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass.
I'm meteorologist Reynolds Wolf, and we have got to tell you that traveling is going to be very difficult around America the next couple of days because of two winter storms. Winter Storm Ember bringing snow, ice, and heavy rainfall to millions of people this weekend.
And throw some wind in there, too.
Yes,
with
indeed.
Both systems, but especially with the second one. So, yes, we do have a lot of impacts with Ember as well as Finn moving across the West Coast right now. So we want to talk about, what it actually looks like on the ground at some of these locations, like where we're seeing the ice, and that would be along the I-81 corridor in Western Virginia. Yeah,
I'd say bridges and overpasses, those are always going to be susceptible. Meteorologist Felicia Combs joins us live in Staunton, Virginia. Keeping a really sharp eye on it. You're dressed for the part. You're dressed for the cold weather, but we know the precipitation's coming later on.
Yeah, and it just started to pick back up, guys, which is what I was expecting. I just had my one button buttoned, and I went and buttoned the rest of them because it's gotten colder. It feels colder, so
is the wind picking up?
About to. No, the wind's still really light, but it was like you could feel kind of the moisture and the cold pick up in the air within the last 20 minutes or so, and the moisture is coming down, the precipitation filling in now. So this is one of the areas in this region that's under a winter storm warning. We've got a lot of winter weather advisories, but here in Staunton in the Shenandoah Valley under a winter storm warning because this is where we're expecting some of that freezing rain to certainly be possible. And when we're talking about the accumulation of the ice, some of the highest totals are going to be right around this area. Now, maybe up to about 1/4 of an inch, not expecting much more than that. That's not the type of ice that's going to bring down a bunch of trees. It's not going to, put out a bunch of power outages, but it is the type of ice that you could see spotty power outages, and it's going to make travel very hazardous. And that's what I can't stress enough. All it takes is hitting one of those patchy black ice spots, and your whole day is ruined. You could be hurt as well. So the best bet is to just stay off the road, especially if you look at the radar for this Northeast region, we've got a mixed bag of precipitation. So you might be in, say, the rain in a place like Greensboro, and then you head a little bit farther north, Roanoke, and now all of a sudden you're in the wintry mix. So it's really hard to tell what you're going to be dealing with when you're out on these roads and with such a mixed bag of precipitation. Now, the good news is once we get past the late morning through the early afternoon, you'll start to see this clearing out. The peak, I'd say, here for the Shenandoah Valley is going to be really later this morning into the early afternoon as well. In terms of snowfall, here's the bad news for you, at least here in the Shenandoah Valley. We're not really getting a lot of that snow out of this. To get the snowfall to add up, we're going to see that across the Potomac Highlands and then farther north, Kelly, up through Pennsylvania, up through New England. But here, at least for cities like Staunton, Charlottesville, this isn't a snowmaker. This is going to be more of an icy system, which is not what anyone wants when you're talking about your first winter storm of the season.
But you're doing it with a smile, Felicia, and it's not your fault, right? I mean, I know when people saw you coming, they were probably like, ooh, are we going to get some snow?
They did. I got that question quite a bit yesterday, and I was like, no, I'm so sorry. We're going to get ice.
Here's what you say, Felicia. Next time, right? There will be a next time. It's still the beginning. You know, we're still a lot of winter left to go. All right, thanks so much, Felicia.
Yeah.
Get warm. We will check back in with you again a little bit later on. But Reynolds, we still have to talk about the nuts and bolts of this storm.
Oh, do we ever? Winter Storm Ember is gearing up to wall much of the interior Northeast and much of New England, bracing for an onslaught of significant snowfall. On your left is a live look at Watertown, New York, and on the right is Worcester, Mass. And both these spots could be dealing with the cavalcade of crazy, meteorologically speaking, as we go forward in time. You've got your winter storm warnings and your advisories. They're all over the map in the cross parts of the Northeast. It does appear that south of Philadelphia, pretty much on the rainy side, but you do have your winter possibilities. They could be up to a foot of snowfall at some of your highest elevations. Scranton back into Binghamton. Binghamton, you've got plenty of sunshine. You've got 20 degrees. You're wondering, where's the precipitation? Give it a moment. It's going to make its way through. And when it does, it is not going to let up for more than a few hours. We've got it in your Saturday evening. Sure enough, you go from Saturday into Sunday morning. It's still falling in places like Binghamton, Scranton. You still have it. And you get into the afternoon hours. Then we begin to see a few breaks here or there, but still plenty of cold air to just keep it right on the ground. And early on Monday, you've got plenty of it. And again, travel can be very, very difficult. Be careful out there. We're traveling commercial break, but hey, fear not. Coverage continues in a few moments.
Watch the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. Get trusted updates on the storm on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
Coverage of Winter Storm Ember continuing here on America.
All right, guys, that is a part of technology that happens from time to time when you are going live. And I'll tell you what.
And discussing ice, and the shot freezes up.
See? But folks, you got to know that we could have all kinds of issues on the roadways. You got power outages, wind is going to be a problem, and of course, heavy snow for parts of the Northeast too. It's
been very light at Felicia's location in Staunton, Virginia, but remember that I-81 corridor, we will be dealing with the on and off icy precipitation. Meanwhile, it's a lot of snow in a place like Boston where we have a winter storm warning in effect through tomorrow. It has been a long time since we've had some heavy snowfall for the Boston area, but this is going to be something from Worcester to the Berkshires and all the way to Cape Cod, although when you get to Cape Cod, it's going to be on the much lower side. Notice how even in Boston, at times that rain will be mixing in, but especially down towards Cape Cod, that will hold down the accumulations there. But where it stays snow long enough, this is where you have the ability to dig out from at least 5, 8, maybe even up to a foot of snow. Should be pretty nice. I would say by Sunday morning, Boston Common, the dogs are going to be going crazy. Golden retrievers love the snow. They do. We see plenty of it in Hartford, back into Providence. I would say de-icing procedures, get ready for that at Greer Airport. Notice how we've got that sharp cutoff right along the coastline where there could be coastal flooding, by the way, as the wind picks up off the water. There's your green showing the rain, but for Hartford up to Springfield, Mass, this is where we do have all snow breaking out between now and tomorrow. Most definitely. Could see a touch of snowfall out by the rocks, and let's see, then Newport, Rhode Island. What a beautiful area. I love Newport, yeah. Yeah, yes indeed. All right, Capital District by the Egg on the Plaza. We've got some snow coming your way from Schenectady down to Gilboa, Schoharie County, the hills of Rensselaer County, getting snowed in over the next couple of days. It's been a minute, right, since we've had some good snow here in the Capital District, and it is on the way. I think the sledding hill is going to be pretty busy towards the end of the weekend. For sure. Yeah, no doubt about it. We're going to slide away into deep South Florida, where we talk about an entirely different situation. This one, the severe variety, Kelly. Yeah, unfortunately, we just upped the chance for a possible tornado or two. So So this is an update for you now, our tornado condition index exclusive here on the Weather Channel. Your actual chance of seeing tornadoes. It's not a 10, which is a high number on the scale, but a 3 makes you take notice. There could be maybe a tornado watch, and there could be a few tornado warnings.
And as Kelly always says, if you are visiting, make sure you know your county. You know your county, because that's how you're going to know if you get a warning, and then you can seek cover immediately.
And as a matter of fact, they've highlighted this area right here in the discussion between Spring Hill, Tampa, St. Pete, down to Sarasota for damaging winds to happen. Sometimes you get what's called a special marine warning, which is a cluster of dangerous storms over the water, producing water spouts, and sometimes they move ashore.
Absolutely right. It's going to be half and half proposition for you. If you're up on the Panhandle, Apalachicola, Cedar Key, by 9 o'clock, conditions are better for you, but they're going to get progressively worse for much of South Florida.
Yeah, here it comes into Vero Beach, right on down to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Alligator Alley, getting stormy as we head towards later on tonight, well after sunset, but the rest of Florida gets a chance to dry out for the second half of the day. What
a year 2023 was in terms of fall rainfall for South Florida. This is another pretty decent dose, I'd say, near West Palm Beach down to Hollywood, Florida, Fort Lauderdale too.
Ooh, these are looking nasty. These storms could contain some small hail, gusty winds, and again, we cannot rule out the potential for some tornadoes. Keep a heads up on that here in Tampa, Sarasota. I know we need the rain, but unfortunately there could be some lawn furniture blown around. Make sure everything is secure and you know where to go in case you're under a warning.
By the time you get to the afternoon, not a problem at all. The big problem that we have had, as Kelly was mentioning, just south of Tampa, the lack of rainfall. This will certainly help.
Yeah, we've got severe to extreme drought conditions, but we're starting a brand new year. So hopefully we make up for the lost, the dry times that we ended 2023 with.
A new year and some new snow. Many people waking up to it across the Midwest today. Check out these flakes. They're mesmerizing. Beautiful, right? Yeah, these flakes were flying earlier this morning in Madison, Wisconsin, out by the university. A quick break from winter weather for Sunday and Monday, but then you got a new storm that's going to bring more snowfall to the region by Monday evening. Certainly beautiful to see, even better to see it from the safety of inside. Back over to you, Kelly.
Yeah, if you can stay off the roads, if you've got any flexibility whatsoever. I mean, it's a good thing the storm is happening on the weekend, right? So you can enjoy the snow with the kids if it happens to be snowing where you are. And it's not just this first storm that we're tracking. We've got another one that is poised to move across the country, beginning in the west. That's Winter Storm Finn, bringing the rain to San Francisco Bay, the snow to the High Sierra, and eventually for the Four Corners region, we'll bring that snow in. And for the plains, it is going to be a wind-driven snow. Those winds will be howling 30, 40, even up to 50 miles per hour. As you can see, the lines of equal pressure pretty close together with Finn. So could there be blizzard conditions? It's possible here across the plains, into portions of the Midwest, the I-70 corridor, and there's that rainy side too. Notice how far north the rain gets. So it does warm up very significantly out ahead of the system, all the way up towards Detroit, Cleveland, even Buffalo. You're going to be on the rainy side when it comes to Finn, at least at the onset. The snowfall forecast, still too soon to put the numbers on it, but we'll compare models. You see the Euro shows the purple in parts of New England, back into Missouri and Illinois. The American model also has that potential for some heavy snow in a similar situation, similar areas. So the winds are going to be up around 40, 50 miles an hour. That's why we're worried about blizzard conditions perhaps setting up for us in portions of Nebraska, Kansas, moving into Missouri as well. It's going to make travel very tricky as we head towards the middle of the week, and that wind heads toward the East Coast, and all the while severe weather ramps up yet again across the Gulf Coast. And the Weather Channel streaming app has you covered with our Winter Storm Ember special stream. From future snow total forecast to updated wind measurements, the stream can help keep you safe if you're in the storm's path. You can download the Weather Channel streaming app today on Amazon Fire, Roku, and more at streamtwc.com.
Okay, so due to our live winter storm coverage, if you were expecting to tune in tomorrow night for the brand new season of Highway Through Hell, just know we're moving it to next Sunday at 8 o'clock.
That's right. That same night at 9 p.m. Eastern, Emmy-nominated Earth Unlocked. 2 all-new back-to-back episodes. That's coming up next Sunday, January 14th. But for now, it is all about our winter storm coverage throughout this weekend.
Yeah, we're a little busy, I'd say, Kelly.
We are busy, not just with Finn, or the one that's not going on now, but we've got Finn that we'll be tracking across the country as well. Starting in the west, it's already moving on shore in the Pacific coast, unleashing heavy snow at times in the Sierra, triggering winter storm warnings for millions of the West Coast.
Yes, and
With
this shot has changed
storm,
considerably.
it looks to be stronger than what we saw in the middle of the week. And at that point, that one was the strongest we had seen so far in the season. So everyone just needs to be prepared. There's a good chance for chain restrictions to be in place.
Oh boy.
All right, there you go.
All right, so Finn is making its presence felt in California. By the way, snow level's pretty low, down to past level. We're talking about the Oregon Cascades where winter storm warnings are in effect, and we've got plenty of rain and wind coming for San Francisco Bay.
And it's going to keep going. It's going to keep moving. And when it does, eventually it's going to launch its way into the plains. You've got Winter Storm Ember. Here comes Finn right behind it. So it is the gruesome twosome, a 1-2 punch of meteorological madness.
So this is tomorrow, and you can see all the way down to San Diego. We've got that chance for rain. You've got the snow for the higher elevations, even moving inland toward the Four Corners region, the Sangre de Cristos. You've got the Mogollon Rim, Flagstaff, looking at some new snow coming up.
Skiers are going to be very happy with this, no doubt about it, from the Sangre de Cristos, as you mentioned. But we're going to see it leave the high elevation to the flatlands, the prairie. And some of this, coupled with some strong winds, could be just crazy, Kelly.
Could there be a blizzard? Heads up.
possible.
Right now it's a watch. So we'll have to see what the Weather Service does, maybe a blizzard warning, maybe a winter storm warning. We do know there will be snow blowing sideways with this next system coming on down I-80, I-70. Some of you start with rain, though.
Yeah, and Kansas City, it is going to be a little bit of everything. It's going to be rain, sleet, snow, and then even after the precipitation's gone, you are still clocking winds that could be approaching gusts anywhere from 25 to maybe up to 40 miles an hour.
That's a good point. Even when the snow is done falling from the sky, it could still be blowing around from the ground, reducing visibility. Oklahoma City, prepare for a temperature drop. You've got 52 Monday with the raindrops and then changing to snow.
And there you go in Kansas City. Yeah, just kind of a mess to say the very least. Hey, let's take you to Carmel, Indiana, and give you a shot of the sticky situation you have weather. You see what I did there?
Carmel, I see what you did there.
Exactly.
A very sweet place. I love that. Oh, it's so beautiful with the snow on the ground. You've got 33 degrees. Feels like 28 though when you factor in even the slightest breeze.
So enjoy these shots, but Kelly, yeah, big changes coming. We're
going to be right on the line. It's a tricky forecast for Indiana, kind of divided between the rain and the snow. As I mentioned, some of you will start with rain and then go over to snow, but you can see with Finn laying down the purple, the 5 to 8 inches from Kansas to Missouri into Illinois.
Yeah, so we're going to show you a variety of models. Sometimes they disagree. Sometimes they pretty much are in agreement. That's what we expect here. But to your point, Kelly, we do see it all. Rain, sleet, snow, and the wind, all part of the system.
And that I-70 corridor, you've got the snow to the north, rain to the south. St. Louis, you're right on the edge of that snow. Chicago, we've got snow for you Tuesday morning. De-icing the flights at Midway, O'Hare. There could be some snow removal delays.
Yeah, a lot of delays. I think this week it's going to be a real headache in terms of your travel.
Especially with the wind.
Yes, indeed. Eventually we see that move out, but whatever snow you have on the ground is probably going to stick around for a bit because you've got a lot of cold air right behind it.
So you're dealing with Ember now. Here comes Finn to the northeast. Still too soon to put the numbers, but the purple, an indication of some of the heavier snow that we could see for the higher elevations. But, you know, Reynolds, it looks like it's going to be a lot of rain for a lot of valley locations.
Possibly some lake effect activity too. You see again some of that warmer air mixing in with it. You get into Wednesday into the morning hours.
The rain all the way up to Albany.
All the way to Albany.
Man.
So yeah.
So that means the snow we're getting now could lead to flooding when we have the snow melt along with the heavy rain. So something to watch out for Tuesday into Wednesday.
Something else to watch out for is the severe component with this. And there will be one, possibly for the Gulf Coast, including New Orleans, where it's partly cloudy, but still dry. A beautiful shot here on the banks of the Mississippi River. This is south of Lake Pontchartrain. You're seeing a view, though, of the Mississippi River. And again, beautiful day, but changes are coming, Kelly.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch out for severe weather, especially damaging winds, but we can't rule out tornadoes either with our next energized storm, Winter Storm Finn. It's going to be a strong one. So we're going to show you the setup here for Monday. The red on the map anywhere from Houston, Lake Charles to New Orleans, even over toward the Panhandle of Florida, we could see severe weather.
No torcons yet. That could change. It really could. And with this, know that there is also a risk of some flash flooding, which is good for parts of, say, Louisiana and Mississippi. You need that precipitation, but you don't want the severe components.
Yeah, severe potential continues into Tuesday for the southeast coast. We got some of those ingredients that we already see coming together with the strong disturbance coming in. So let's kind of play it out as we start Monday. There's your rain for the Piney Woods into the Mississippi Valley, stretching into Georgia and the Carolinas by the time we get into Tuesday. Some of these storms could be nasty.
Okay. Wednesday, North Georgia. My kids have been staring at this saying, are we going to get some snow in Atlanta? Folks, it looks like it's going to be northern suburbs, but certainly high elevation in, say, the Smoky Mountains, I think snow is a much stronger possibility.
And where we need the rain, we could get too much of it.
Yes.
Flooding is going to be a possibility for New Orleans, Mobile, Biloxi, over towards Tallahassee, and then again for the East Coast, Tuesday into Wednesday, where it's more likely for the Mid-Atlantic.
Okay, everybody breathe in, breathe out. Stay with us on the Weather Channel. We've got a lot to share with you. We've got live coverage of Winter Storm Ember and Finn all weekend long, Kelly. We've got teams of meteorologists and reporters spread out across America.
To give you every angle of these storms, we've got Weekend Recharge also coming up at the top of the hour. We will see you again tomorrow at 5 a.m.
And coverage of Winter Storm Ember continues here on the Weather Channel. Whether you're getting the snow, the freezing rain, or the sleet, this is going to snarl travel to start off the weekend. We'll tell you what you can expect in your area, and will it be snow? That's coming up. Paul?
Nothing but snow here in Newburgh, New York. We're about 60 minutes north of Manhattan, where we definitely could see perhaps 6 to 10 to 12 inches of snow coming down heavily, maybe an inch per hour. We'll talk about the timing of this and, yeah, what other areas we'll see in the tri-state area coming up on Weekend Recharge.
Thanks, Paul. We'll catch back up with him in just a matter of moments because we are expecting snow for a lot of us in parts of the interior. Actually, Paul, we're going to catch back up with you right now.
Is our guy here?
And welcome to Weekend Recharge on this Saturday, January 6th. Welcome back to Weekend Recharge. I'm meteorologist Paul Goodloe live in Newburgh, New York. We'll get back to Felicia Combs in Staunton, Virginia coming up. They're concerned about freezing rain there, all from Winter Storm Ember, our first big winter storm of the calendar year 2024. And speaking back of 2023, yesterday morning I was in Brooklyn, and Central Park did not pick up, they picked up the smallest amount of snow in any calendar year, and records go back more than 100 years in Central Park, and we're talking 2.3 inches all of 2023. We might see 1 or 2 inches of snow from Winter Storm Ember in Central Park, but a little farther north, we're going to see a lot more. But let's get all the details of what's going on, not only here at Winter Storm Ember, there's another winter storm behind this, and we're also watching severe weather today. Let's go back to studio in Atlanta and say good morning to meteorologist Molly McCullum and Lynette Charles. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Paul. We will catch back up with you in just a matter of moments because America's weekend depends on the weather, definitely this weekend.
It sure does. And we're talking about a new storms, plural.
Yes.
We have Ember, and we also do have Finn. We'll talk about Finn a little bit later, but we do have Ember pushing into the northeast and at mid-Atlantic right now, bringing some snow, heavy snow, and some ice.
Ice, the worst type of winter weather. We'll get to who sees the ice, who sees the snow in just a minute. But first, let's look at Pittsburgh.
Yes. So look at this. New year, new winter storms. Ember is looking to make a mess on the East Coast, and we're going to start with some soaking rain and snow in the mid-Atlantic. We do have those strong gusty winds, and they are going to play with this system. This is going to continue to watch this as we go through the rest of today into your tomorrow as well. And then we do have the Northeast definitely keeping their fingers crossed that they will see some snow, Molly, because remember, the Northeast, a lot of it has been in that snow drought.
They have, and we're talking places like New York City, Philly, Washington, D.C. We're anywhere from upper 600s as far as days go without at least 1 inch of snowfall, all the way up to, I think D.C. is 718 or 19 days at this point without 1 inch of snow from one system. So we're looking at the low pressure system. This is our winter storm. That's the low pressure is centered right now over parts of the south, and we have some very cold rain in places like Atlanta over to Knoxville. We get up into areas like Virginia. That's where we're seeing the pink on radar, and that is the dreaded freezing rain that is falling. So as it's hitting the surface, it's hitting roads, sidewalks, porches, decks. It is freezing on contact, and that's what makes it so dangerous to be out and about. Where you see all this green color, that is just the very cold rain. So when we get to the north of that, areas like Pittsburgh, we are going to see some snow. You're under a winter weather advisory. What you see in this dark blue color, that is a winter storm warning, and we have a lot of people under winter alerts this morning from just this one storm. This is not even taking into account Winter Storm Finn, which is just behind this one. I also want to take you to the southern side of this storm because there is a severe weather component, especially for Florida, Tampa, Orlando, as well as Daytona Beach, all seeing rain. You're clear in Cedar Key as well as Apalachicola, where we've already seen this line of storms move through. Areas like Fort Myers, the 75 corridor, all the way down to Alligator Alley, that's where we're expecting severe weather. And if you were watching earlier this morning, just know that the severe weather threat has ramped up just a little bit. Now we have a Torcon of 3 for areas like Port Charlotte, as well as Fort Myers, Sanibel, Captiva Islands. As this line of storms moves through, it'll be a quick hitter, so we're not going to deal with this all day long. In fact, by this afternoon, we're going to be clear in Tampa. We're going to be clear in Fort Myers by this evening, and then just some residual showers in Miami. But later evening plans in Miami, you're going to be good to go because this is going to be well out into the Atlantic. Lynette?
All right, Molly. Now, here's what we know about Winter Storm Ember at this hour. The state of New York has deployed more than 1,600 large plows, and the governor is urging New Yorkers to prepare as snow moves in later today. In Pennsylvania, the DOT is implementing speed and vehicle restrictions this weekend to help keep the roads safe. And in Virginia, where there are icy conditions, the DOT began pre-treating roads on Thursday. The governor is urging people to just stay home if possible for today. Winter storm warnings are popping up across the mid-Atlantic right now, and Ember is going to continue to push in and bring some snow, some rain and ice to the area. Meteorologist Felicia Combs joins us now from Staunton, Virginia. And Felicia, you've been out there now for a few hours. What have the conditions been like, and have they been changing since you've been out?
It definitely feels colder out here, Lynette, and I know anyone who knows me, they're like, yeah, Felicia, it's cold. No, but it feels colder right now than it did earlier. Temperature has actually dropped down to around 31. We were hovering around 32 or 33 earlier. The precip, though, has been mostly light. We've had some spurts of heavier precip here or there, but in general, we haven't seen anything coming down really heavily. I'm expecting that to be more of a later morning thing, so as we head through this hour into the 10 o'clock hour, and then later on this afternoon is when we'll finally see this exiting. So, when you're talking about winter storms, everyone was really excited. They were like, oh, wait, are we going to get some snow? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Maybe some flakes flying here or there. But the main story here in Staunton and much of the Shenandoah Valley is the freezing rain and the icy conditions that are going to be possible. And, of course, when we're talking about ice and freezing rain, what we have to take a look at are the roadways. So I want to bring in Kenneth Slack. He's with the Staunton District of the Virginia Department of Transportation. Ken, thanks so much for coming out and talking to us. I just want to start out, you've been out and around a little bit this morning. How are the roads out there?
Absolutely. A lot of the road conditions we have right now are similar to what you see here behind us. So we've got wet conditions. We do have pavement temperatures that are, as you were saying, right around that freezing mark. So we do have some patches of freezing rain, which could create some of that glazing, that black ice that people really need to be careful of.
So I know they mentioned that you guys were pre-treating on Friday. So what were you pre-treating with? What were you getting ready for in this area?
Yes, we use a salt brine mixture, and here in the Staunton District, we did that work on Friday. Pretty much most of the western half of the state did a lot of that pre-treating work, and that was finished up by Friday afternoon. And that really helps keep the snow and ice from making that hard bond onto the pavement, that crusty stuff that's hard to plow off. The pre-treating helps keep it slushy and makes it a lot easier to plow.
So how do you have the crews kind of disperse based on where we're going to see snow or more ice, or what are you guys doing when you have such a mixed bag like this?
Well, this has been difficult because we've been watching the forecast all week, and it's been changing, and we're in that part of the country where that's not unusual. So we really have to be nimble and be able to move our resources where they need to be. In our district, we have close to 1,000 pieces of equipment that are ready to go, and that's VDOT personnel as well as contractors and hired equipment. And our folks have a lot of experience. They know where those traditional cold spots are. They know about the ridge tops that we have on Afton Mountain and Shenandoah Mountain, places like that. So it might be that we're doing mostly treating of, using our salt today and mixing in the abrasives. And might be at some point we'll get some snow and actually do some plowing as well.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't know about it here, but maybe elsewhere. Yeah. Ken, thanks so much for talking to us. I appreciate that. And of course, as we've mentioned over and over again, might be just fine for most of your drive, and all it takes is that one, spot of black ice that could throw off your whole morning, the whole rest of your day. So the best bet is to just stay home and let the crews out there doing their work do their jobs. It's so much safer for everyone without a lot of people on the road. Ladies.
All right, Felicia, yeah, we can see behind you, we can see that black top out there. Is it black ice? Is it not? So again, good advice staying off the roads. We'll get back to you a little bit later. All right, let's talk about what's going on as we continue through the rest of your today with this big storm. We're already looking at these alerts that are up. We have these dark blues, and I want to say that these are the most important ones because in terms of really adding up the snow totals, that's what you have, but not necessarily. We have winter weather advisory as well. So the bottom line through today is that whether you're under the winter storm warnings, whether you're under the winter weather advisories, travel is going to be difficult. And you just heard Felicia talking about staying off the roadways. Please do so. Again, we're going to be dealing with that black ice. We have a little bit of everything going on where you're seeing some of the pink, again, some freezing rain. And when you have freezing rain, it's raining through that whole column until it reaches the surface. The surface is at freezing and it freezes on contact. And then that's when you're talking about that ice. And we're seeing this around Charlottesville, around Roanoke right now. We have a little bit of everything before it's all said and done. This is just a mess across the Mid-Atlantic. That is going to be the name of the game for today. In terms of what's happening around Raleigh right now, we have all rain. We're looking at this around Asheville, too. And this is going to be the scenario of some slick roads as we go through the rest of today into the evening. And this thing will continue to slide on off towards the north and east as we head into your Sunday as well. Also, don't forget, we're going to be dealing with some very windy conditions as well. But we can see some of the blues there. That's what we like to see, right? Snow lovers, yes, we have that around State College. And look at this teal color. That's going to be some heavy snow coming in this afternoon. So get excited, get ready for those snow shovels. You're going to need that. Look at this in Pittsburgh, more of the same. Philadelphia, you're going to be on the cusp. You'll see some snow, and then you're going to see a switch over to rain before it's all said and done as well. And that could be the same in New York as we head into your Sunday. Across the Ohio Valley, we see that snow moving in here as we go in through the evening. But Molly, we are really going to be in for it with Ember, and then we're going to be talking about some more changes as we go towards Finn. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we do have some storm alerts across the Northeast.
We do, and as Winter Storm Ember begins inching into the Northeast, winter storm alerts are now in effect for more than 50 million people. Meteorologist Paul Goodloe is north of the NYC Metro in Newburgh, New York, where people have been bracing for heavy snow, rain, and gusty winds right there along the Hudson River. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Molly. Here we're in under a winter storm warning starting at 4 o'clock tonight, goes through 6 o'clock on Sunday for the snow we're expecting Winter Storm Ember. Right now, it's a chilly start to our Saturday here. It's overcast, not very windy, but definitely cold. So if you have plans here across parts of the lower Hudson Valley, you want to get them done probably before, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then kind of hunker down. Some great football games on later today. The Weather Channel's on all day long covering this storm as it approaches, and the one after this. So now's the time to finish your preparations. Now, we're here in Newburgh. We're about 60 miles due north of where we were yesterday in the Dumbo area in Brooklyn and lower Manhattan. And this area, yeah, we also didn't see a lot of snow last year, a little bit more than Central Park, 2.3 for the entire calendar year. But we could see perhaps maybe 3 to 5 times that amount as we head through tomorrow. So the snow starts this afternoon. We could see heavy snow overnight, and it continues as we head into your Sunday. Again, on again, off again snow showers we'll see as we head throughout tonight as well as tomorrow. Combined in that, some heavy snow. That's how we can get 6, 8, maybe 12 inches of snow. Some of the ski resorts here across the lower Adirondacks definitely will do very well this weekend, as well as the crowds coming up there this weekend as well. So we're expecting, the snow to start later on today. So I know there's some even high school basketball games going on. If they're evening games, they could be questionable in terms of how safe it is to get there. It all depends on when that heaviest snow does arrive. We're expecting it probably later this evening, perhaps after 9, maybe even after midnight, depending on where you are here in southern New York. Now, that snow also extends into the rest of the Northeast and New England, including the Boston area. They'll see the snow later, probably into the overnight hours into Sunday. Of course, we have team coverage all across the area. But Molly, there are a lot of folks saying, bring this snow on. We watched many of the roads here were pre-treated with a brine solution, because even though temperatures in the 20s now, they're going to come up to around 30 degrees. And being so close to freezing, that allows these dinner plate, big fat snowflakes to come down. So that's also a good temperature for the road salts to work. When you get too cold, it gets too cold for the normal road salt solution. So Molly, it's now, hopefully you're prepared, and kind of wait to see what Winter Storm Ember will be bringing here, but definitely it's going to be the uninvited guest as we head through this weekend. Molly, you have more on other cities and the timing. They'll start seeing the winter precip.
Yeah, let's go from Newburgh, Paul, all the way to Pittsburgh, where a mix of rain and snow so far, but it'll be mostly snow as we get into the evening. You're under a winter weather advisory through tonight. Snow accumulations, perhaps 2 to 4 inches of snow. We're at 31 in Pittsburgh right now. It feels like 24 as the wind is starting to pick up. And for places like Pittsburgh, you are expecting snow. But as we go to New York City, the big question is, will it or won't it? And that's really been the question all week long. And with our current thinking and our system as it's evolving, we're thinking it will not accumulate in New York City. I'm so sorry, but we will see at least a brief period of time that we get some snowflakes. But for most of us, it's going to be that very cold rain. It's going to be a mix as we go throughout the evening. Long Island seeing that cold rain. The snow is just to the north of you in Newburgh, where Paul is. And then we get to the later part of the evening for tomorrow. On the very end of this system, as it's moving out, that's when we see a brief period of the time where we see the snowflakes falling. But accumulation, I'm sorry, it's just not looking likely for you in New York. In fact, you're right on the edge. Now we go way up to the areas like Patterson and even farther north than that. That's where we're expecting a significant snowfall accumulation. So we just missed out in New York City. We take you up to the Albany area, where areas like Albany over to Schenectady. That's where we're seeing 8-9 inches of snow. Do we see some people that get the double-digit snowfall amounts? It's very possible, and the heavy snow starts to fall through the overnight hours. So Lynette, we're going to be waiting all day today. It's kind of playing that waiting game. Okay, where's the snow? Where's the snow? The sun goes down through the overnight hours. You wake up tomorrow morning and look out the window. You got snow.
All right, Molly, thanks. When back-to-back winter storms double down on snow, rain, and wind, we're working around the clock to keep you and your family safe. We'll be back right after this.
Winter Storm Ember may be snarling your weekend travel plans, whether it's the snow or the ice like we're getting here in Staunton, Virginia. Thanks for sticking with us on Weekend Recharge. I'm meteorologist Felicia Combs. In the Shenandoah Valley, where the main concern with this system is not the snow that you might be wanting with your first winter storm, but it's the ice. That's what we're expecting here across this region. We've been seeing the freezing rain throughout the morning. Now, I will tell you that the precipitation has just started to pick back up. We're sitting right at that freezing mark, 32 degrees. Light winds, which is making it feel, not so bad. But the freezing rain is the issue. Some slick spots on the roadways out there. Not just here. It's a mixed bag of precipitation across the region. You've got rain, you've got freezing rain, a little bit of sleet here or there, and some snow as well. I think as we continue to head through this afternoon, you'll see that snow picking up, especially north. It's the Potomac Highlands, the Panhandle area of West Virginia, and some of the northern portions of Virginia that have a better chance at snow. The ice, though, that's what we're concerned about here in the Shenandoah Valley. You can see the forecast up to about 1/4 of an inch in some places. That's not the type of ice that's going to cause widespread power outages, but that is the type of ice that's going to make those roadways slick, and that's our main concern. Now, we did talk to someone from DOT earlier, and they told us they've been pre-treating those roads. So most of your major roads are going to be treated. But that doesn't mean that there might not be a slick spot somewhere. So, Molly, with a good confidence that we'll see at least 1/10 of an inch of ice here in this region, the best bet is for people to just stay off the roadways. You know, the main roads might be just fine because they've been treated and they're continuing to treat them, but you never know what back road you might run into that's really slick.
Great advice there, Felicia. Thank you so much there in Staunton. We will check back in with you in just a few minutes, but for now we want to head over to Lynette.
All right, Molly. And as winter begins to take hold of much of the country, it's time to get prepared for extreme winter weather. Meteorologist Alex Wallace talks with Ryan Seibel from Oak Electric about how you can protect your home with a Generac whole home standby generator.
When icy winter weather hits, it can bring down those power lines, knock out power for days, even burst pipes. What a mess, right? Well, let's bring in Ryan here to find out how we can protect our homes from being without electricity for days at a time.
Well, a great solution is a home standby generator. This unit can power up the entire home. Homes require power. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity to have power. These generators, you can power up everything, especially during a winter storm. You don't even need to be home for these items to work. If you lose power, this unit's going to come on right away.
So, okay, home standby generator, why should I go with that over, let's say, a portable generator?
Well, portable generators are a great option. However, you are limited on what you can run. Your furnace still needs some sort of electronic component in order to work. So does your stove. Even though you have gas to these appliances, they won't work. But you also have items such as your sump pump in the house. If you don't have that running, your house could possibly flood or could get some major damage. These are a lot of concerns you have during that winter time. For the safety of the home, these things, they're safe, they're reliable, it's the way to go.
We all like easy, right? So what's it take to maintain this? Well, how do we take care of it?
So the maintenance on these units from Generac is very easy. These units are also equipped with a monitoring device called the Mobile Link. And the Mobile Link, that allows the dealer and the homeowner access to the generator. It allows them to know when the generator is running and if there's any issues with it at all.
So it sounds like this is a great solution. When should I, as a homeowner, install one of these?
They can pretty much be installed any time of the year. Whether it's rain, snow, sleet, or shine, we can install these.
But you probably don't want to wait for the day before a big storm.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we can do it. However, you want to be equipped and prepared well before that.
So it really sounds like this is a great solution, and no doubt about it, it gives you a great peace of mind.
All right, let's hope a lot of people have some generators because we have Ember and then we have Finn to talk about as well.
One after the next. So there's the location of Ember by Sunday evening, and then here comes Finn moving in right behind Winter Storm Ember. So really we're talking about the plains. It's moving to the Pacific right now, so areas like the West Coast. But then the plains, you're up next, where Oklahoma City, cold rain, get ready for a tremendous temperature drop and even blizzard conditions. Kansas, Nebraska, Kansas City, perhaps seeing a lot of wind and snow.
Exactly. So we've been talking about the fact that we could see the snow, the rain, the ice, but also the wind is going to be a big factor as well. So what we know with Winter Storm Finn, this storm is going to move inland over the Pacific Northwest for today.
So let's watch as this moves into areas like Chicago. Could we see some flight delays? In fact, it's very likely with de-icing, some wind issues, taking off and landing. It's going to be very gusty. So all of these white lines that you see, isobars, lines of equal pressure, when they're packed very tightly close together like that, very windy system. Now, as we go forward in the future, there's still some differences in the models and who's seeing the heaviest snow.
Yeah, but we can see it in the purple there, the heaviest snow. We're going to be watching this as we go towards Kansas City, St. Louis as well. That was the Euro. The GFS, though, does kind of agree with what's going on there.
Which is good.
Exactly.
We'll be right back.
And it is that time of year. Our coverage of Winter Storm Ember continuing. This is just the first named storm that we'll be dealing with in the next couple days. Thanks for sticking with us here on Weekend Recharge. I'm meteorologist Felicia Combs coming to you from Staunton, Virginia, where you hear a winter storm and you think, yes, we're going to get some snow, right? Not the case here and for the Shenandoah Valley generally as a whole, mostly. We're getting mostly ice in this region. So let's talk a little bit about where we are. The Shenandoah Valley is situated between the Allegheny Mountains and the Blue Ridge Mountains as well. You can kind of see behind me here the mountainous terrain, which only adds to some of your problems when you're talking about prepping for winter weather. When you're getting up in elevation, you're getting a better chance for those freezing temperatures. You're getting a better chance for those roads to be slick. And as you can see here, as we look at Richmond Avenue, one of the main thoroughfares through Staunton, the roads are wet. You know, it always works like this. We're standing here preparing for our live shot, and there are cars coming through. There's a snow plow. There's so many things to show you. And then it's time to show you that the roads are wet as a car drives through and there aren't any cars. But there goes one. You can clearly see that these roads are wet here. As you look off in the distance, you can see that I-64, I-81 ramp. You're actually looking at I-81. Staunton is the place where I-64 and I-81, those main interstates through this region, converge. I-81 has been moving pretty smoothly. We haven't heard of any reports of that road being shut down, but they did get out and pre-treat those major interstates yesterday, and they've been out there treating them throughout the day today. What I do want to point out to you is that overpass, though, and that's the one thing that you want to keep an eye on, or you know, one of the many things you want to keep an eye on if you're out and about and driving, which you shouldn't be. But those bridges and those overpasses, they can freeze more quickly than the roads around them. So maybe you're driving along just fine, and you actually hit that bridge or overpass and it's even more slick. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, with the weather like we've had across this region. Oh, there we go. Guys, I've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for a snowplow to come through while I was actually on air, and there goes one. Of course, not using its plow in this area. It's going to be mainly using that salt because we are sitting right at the freezing mark. You're going to need to go farther north, say the Potomac Highlands of West Virginia, or even farther north to actually get into some of that snow. So, Paul, you know how it is. You're on live TV, and before you go on, there are 7 snow plows or whatever you're trying to show that drive by, and right as you get on TV, it's like no cars, no snow plows, nothing to show.
You know, Felicia, I'm just proud that you're weathering a frigid 33 degrees from a Floridian girl. That's pretty good for you.
You know, it's hard, but somebody's got to do it. So here I am.
All right, well, let's keep you where you are, because that's right around freezing. Here in Newburgh, New York, we're about 60 miles north of New York City. We're sitting in the mid-20s here, so this is frozen tundra, Felicia style here. But she has Interstate 81 behind me. That's Interstate 84 here in the lower Hudson Valley here. You see elevated surface. They've been pre-treating this here across Dutchess County and Orange County. Dutchess County on the other side of the river here, Orange County on this side of the Hudson River here, and they're waiting as well for Winter Storm Ember to bring snow. Well, Felicia's going to see that mixture. We're going to see straight snow. That's why we have a winter storm warning in effect starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon, going to 6 o'clock tomorrow, and we could see potentially up to a foot of snow. Widespread areas around here in that 6 to 10 inch zone, but we're going to have some overachievers, and there's plenty of hills and mountains in this part of Lower Hudson Valley, so the elevation could enhance some of this, not to mention some of the valleys where the cold air is, and we're going to overperform in nooks and crannies around here. A lot of American Revolution history going on here. In fact, a lot of people say, oh, George Washington slept here. He actually did stay here in Newburgh. I guess one of his longest headquarters of the Continental Army was here in Newburgh. But bottom line is you want to be hunkered down in your headquarters as we head on towards tonight and tomorrow. You have afternoon plans. You still want to get it done now. We're still hours away from the first flakes falling, but when they do, they can come down in pretty intense rates. Not the entire duration of the storm, but for spits, they could be an inch or two an hour. So we'll keep you updated all weekend long right here on the Weather Channel and, of course, here on Weekend Recharge. We're back after this.
Watch the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of Winter Storm Ember. Get trusted updates on the storm on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
Welcome back to Weekend Recharge. I'm meteorologist Paul Goodloe live in Newburgh, New York, in the OC. That's Orange County. Not that Orange County. It's New York, Orange County. We're going under a winter storm warning later on this afternoon at 4 o'clock. We're expecting some of the heaviest snow to start later on this evening and continue throughout the night. It's all because of Winter Storm Ember. You see where the low is right now. It's still moving across the southeast. A lot of folks waking up to thunderstorms and even some snow across the Ohio Valley. Indy seeing some snow up towards Cleveland. Pittsburgh will see some as well. But we also have that warm sector bringing that rain, cold rain across parts of the Carolinas, parts of Georgia. And we're going to wait for our surface low to develop, bring more wind across the northeast. It's really more tomorrow. But even the Great Lakes, we got the cold air coming down the backside of the system and some snow showers. So yes, this is all part of that same winter storm. You're not seeing a huge snow fall or snow event for you across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, but we're seeing this mixed bag moving across parts of the central Appalachians and some of the ski resorts. Hopefully they stay all snow, but you could see a little mixture there as well. We're concerned in parts of northern and western Virginia, even West Virginia, western Maryland, seeing some of that freezing rain. And you see that snow slowly pressing into parts of central Pennsylvania right now. With the Pocono ski resorts, you could see a pretty decent snow event, and then that snow continues to push north and eastward into New York, into here in the lower Hudson Valley, and then into New England as we head on towards your Sunday. So this is a great snowstorm for these ski resorts, which are usually 50 to 100 plus miles off the I-95 corridor. That's where the heart of the heaviest snow will be. Closer to the coast, not as much until you get towards Boston and north and east of there. So we are just in the beginning of Winter Storm Ember. It would be the big story all weekend long in this part of the country. Lynette, back to you.
All right, Paul. Yeah, we're going to talk about the I-95 corridor in just a matter of moments. But look at this. This is nearly an inch of snow blanketing the ground in Wichita, Kansas on Friday. This is from Winter Storm Ember. Residents quickly working to clear those roads. Cities in the northeast, you could be seeing some similar snowy sights as we start to see Ember work its way into the northeast as we go through today and to your tomorrow as well. Now, this is what we're going to be working with. It's been pretty cold and gloomy day in the virtual view of the nation's capital. We have the rain, the sleet, and the snow, and I know a lot of you just want all snow. And if you're about to start this first weekend of the year, yes, Washington, D.C., as Winter Storm Ember pushes up the coast. So we can talk about when we could see possibly the heaviest snow, the rain, some sleet coming in across the area as well, unfortunately. So again, let's talk about that I-95 corridor that unfortunately has been so dry for so long. And we can see, yeah, it's getting a little bit moist out here, but you can see different colors, right? So we can see some of the pink, some of those purples. We want the solid blue, and that's not going to be happening. We're dealing with, again, a little bit of mixture. Looks like it's dealing with some sleet now around D.C., up towards Aberdeen and Harford County, around Baltimore. Yeah, you're dealing with a little bit of sleet going on across that area as well. Let's go ahead and continue to time this out for you, because as we go in through the afternoon, we look off to the north, western Maryland. Of course, you're the one that's getting in on more of the snow, and those totals will add up for you. And we could see a period of snow around Baltimore, the city as well. But look what happens as this goes into motion. Yeah, it doesn't last long, right? We start to mix in that rain, the temperatures start to warm up, and really what we've seen with that snow starts to kind of wash it away. So that's going to be the name of the game. Again, along that I-95 corridor, you might see a little bit of snow, but that rain is going to come in here, unfortunately. As we work our way into your Sunday, that's going to be the name of the game. We start to dry things out a little bit more as it continues off to the north and east. But we look at that snow still to come, and where you're looking at the blues and some of the purples, that's the highest snow. You have to go all the way back off into western Maryland there. About an inch we could see north of Baltimore. We're looking at this around Lineborough, Frederick, of course, Leesboro, everything but Baltimore, right? Unfortunately, this is what we have as we go in through Pennsylvania. Look at Harrisburg, though. You guys are going to get walloped there, so I know you're excited. We could see upwards of about 8 to 9 inches of snow before it's all said and done, Molly. So I know they're excited in that part of town.
A very sharp divide of who's seeing the snow and who is not. I want to focus on the southern side of this system, because not only do we have rain, and it's a cold, uncomfortable rain for a lot of our southern states, but we also have severe weather, a severe weather component. So there's the center of Winter Storm Ember. It's sitting over the south right now. Eventually it's going to wind its way up into the northeast over the next 24 hours. But right now the focus of severe weather is in Florida, Tampa, down to Fort Myers, Orlando, all the way over to the 95 corridor. We are seeing rain. But as the afternoon goes on, we will see the chance for severe weather, especially in areas like Port Charlotte down to Fort Myers. You have a Torcon of 3, and if you're thinking, okay, that's on the lower end of the scale. Anytime we have a number, we have a threat, and we even have a Torcon of 2 from Tampa all the way down to Marco Island, including a portion of Alligator Alley. So if you're traveling today, if you can wait until this passes, because it will pass as the evening goes on, and areas like Tampa, you're actually going to be clear in the next couple of hours from the rain. In fact, by the lunchtime hour, you're good to go to salvage the rest of your Saturday. Cedar Key, you're already clear for the day. Fort Myers, we're going to be in the rain for a lot of this afternoon. The early part of the evening, this starts to clear out, and then we're done with the severe weather. So the next couple of hours, be weather aware in southern and central Florida.
Welcome back to Weekend Recharge. I'm meteorologist Paul Goodloe, live in a chilly Newburgh, New York. We're in the lower Hudson Valley, Hudson River behind me. The bridge is the Newburgh Beacon Bridge. That's Interstate 84 there, and they were pre-treating this road as many parts of the interstate and other main thoroughfares here yesterday, and probably doing the same today. But we're still hours away from the first flakes falling here from Winter Storm Ember, but people are preparing. We were across the river in Fishkill yesterday and took some video of people shopping. So we don't know whether this is just the pure, hey, Friday night, the weekend's here, we have to grocery shop, or it could be, hey, snow's coming. We're going to be snowed in for half a day. We need to hit the shelves, but they were bare for some items. We also saw people in the grocery store restocking the shelves as well. So we didn't see anything that people were frantic because they didn't have it in the store, but there were some lower supplies of some things. But in terms of supplies, there should be plenty of plows and sand and salt around, because they didn't have much of a winter, not only just last year, even the year before that. It's been a while, almost 2 years, and some areas over 2 years since I've seen major snow in this area. But right now, we have a few hours before our first major snow in quite some time moves in this area. Our winter storm warnings go into effect from 4 o'clock tonight all the way to 6 o'clock Sunday evening, Lynette. So Winter Storm Ember probably going to leave a mark on this area. Maybe not so much a little farther downriver, but definitely here across the I-84 corridor, we could look at maybe half it to maybe a foot of snow. Lynette?
Paul, that's exciting where you are. I actually can't wait to see your shot tomorrow when that snow is really coming down. I hope they don't move you. I hope you stay there, because that's going to be awesome to see.
We're going to be somewhere around here. Don't know if we're going to actually be right here. It's about making sure we can get there safely and also get out of there safely, depending on how much snow we'll see. But we're going to be somewhere here in the lower Hudson Valley, both tonight when the snow starts and again tomorrow morning for our show.
Okay, awesome. We'll check back with you in a matter of moments, but we're also talking about another storm that's on the heels of Ember, and that is Finn. So we do have heavy snowfall in central Arkansas Friday, and this was from Winter Storm Ember, but the wintry weather will continue as Winter Storm Finn follows behind, closely behind. We're going to see that heavy precipitation, strong winds that's going to move across the country. The storm could create some travel obstacles for travelers right through next week. So really take that into consideration. It's kind of like a 1-2 punch that that we're going to be dealing with. So let's talk about it a little bit more. Now, I will say that we will see some widespread snow from the plains to the Great Lakes. And look at that purple coloring there. Oh, yeah, that is some heavy snow that's going to be coming in. Hopefully that put a smile on your face. But also further south, we're going to be dealing with some rain, possibly some thunderstorms, and some of those could be strong to severe. So this is what we know. That storm is going to continue to move inland over the Pacific Northwest for today. And it's going to intensify on Sunday as it moves towards the plains. So this is something that, again, we have everybody out there to try to keep you safe. Either we're in the studio, we're out in the field, but this is where it's originating as we head towards tomorrow. So it's going to move from the west, cross towards the east there, and as it does, it will continue to strengthen. You can see it dive down across the four corners, and with that, yeah, we already do have some of those alerts up. So we're talking about this right through Monday, winter weather advisories, we have winter storm warnings, and this extends with the winter storm watches all the way up again, portions of Texas and also around Oklahoma as well. Speaking of that, yeah, we can see those totals up. Purple always goes to your eye, right? And we can see this about 5 to 8 around Salina. We're looking at this around Kansas City, Dodge City as well. Look at this back off towards Taos, Telluride. So the four corners, you're going to be getting in on some of that snow too. Look at the winds. So we've been talking about all the precip that we're going to be seeing with this, but the winds, the isobars, Molly, they are close together, and it is going to be windy as this thing moves across the nation.
I'm thinking about some of the temperature drops we're going to see. Oklahoma City, Wichita, Tulsa. It's going to be brutal, even if you're prepared for it. I used to live in Tulsa, and even if you're anticipating it, it always is a shock to the system. I want to talk about the southern side of the system because the Storm Prediction Center has actually had this area from Texas to Louisiana all the way over to the Florida Panhandle outlined for a couple of days, saying we know that there is going to be a severe weather component to this winter storm, as there typically is, especially when you have the proximity to the Gulf. You have all of that warm, moist air flowing to the north right along that warm front, those strong winds turning southwest aloft. And then look, we go even higher up into the atmosphere, and they're turning out of a different direction. So as that happens, we're going to have some wind shear. There's going to be a tornado threat. There's going to be a threat for some stronger storms, severe storms with wind, flooding, rains possibly, despite the fact that we're still working with some big rainfall deficits in parts of the south and the southeast. And then we move this rain into areas like Atlanta all the way over to the Carolinas. By Tuesday, there's the flooding threat as we start off the upcoming week.